Roll, please.
Walter.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Present.
Redlin.
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Do we have anybody sign up for public comment tonight? We think we do have Craig here with us, so if you want to. We're going to get, I told you, we're going to get you waited for you, and here we are.
Well, we'll make it worth it, right? Don't turn that thing. Yeah, it's all recorded for everybody to see.
That's right.
So, probably start with tonight, one of the things we've been working on at the hospital is working with our sister hospitals and trying to align for efficiencies and whatnot. And that works really well, particularly in the finance area and some of the human resources and stuff. So we've completed that process now and have a single leadership team that covers both Goodland and Atwood. It's mixed with employees from both hospitals, so it gives us the ability to really share resources. When one hospital does something well, then we can piggyback on that. So that's been one of our bigger projects. It was probably the initial charge given to me was to align these hospitals and get them efficiently functioning. So we've completed that.
What all positions are going back and forth between?
So it's just the leadership team. So obviously I go back and forth. Then our CFO, the finance piece, goes back and forth. She actually has a third hospital in Burlington, so we won't mention that one. I don't have any control over that one. But and then our chief nursing officer. So I have director of nursing in both hospitals because there are the day-to-day things. But then I have for the support, I have a chief nursing officer, a chief clinical officer that oversees all of the nursing and ancillary services, which has really helped us to, for example, we've shared some radiology coverage for weekends. And if one staff is down a little bit, we can pull from the other hospital and go back and forth. So that's been helpful. And then my operations person who oversees the clinics in both sides. And then doc days for the medical, oversees the medical staff on both sides. And I'm missing one. Oh, our facilities and human resources are the other ones. So again, we haven't given up anything local in either place, but that oversight and that support, we've tried to streamline it. And before I was having a complete team like I just read off in both locations. And it just wasn't an efficient use of people or time. So
okay, thank you.
That's a big thing we worked on. Let's go to the finances. Happy to report that the hospital is performing well. And so just for the month, and this would be through September 30th. We don't have October numbers quite yet. Takes us a couple weeks to get that. So for revenue for the month, gross patient revenue was $3 million against a budget of 3.3, so we're a little bit down there. But as you'll see in the contractual adjustments, which is basically take your gross charges, and then the insurance companies take off what they're not going to allow, and you get a net charge. So when we get down to the total income before expenses, we're at 1.9 versus a budget of 1.7. So basically that comes down to the fact that Medicare owes us some money. So. And that every year there's an adjustment on the cost report that goes back and forth, whether we've undercharged or overcharged, or been underpaid or overpaid.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That happens every year, and it's a constant adjustment. Year to date, 15.7 versus 16.1 on that line. So we're a little bit, for year to date, we're a little bit behind. On salaries, which has been one of our that's our biggest expense, obviously. And one of the things we've been focusing on, we're running for the month 631 roughly versus a budget of 694. So that says we've still got some open positions and whatnot to cover, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, and year to date, again, 5.6 versus 6.2. It's that kind of same margin. There's some positions that we've got room to fill if we can just find the people. So, total operating expenses then we get down to 1.6 for the month versus a budget of 1.7. So that's what we've done well, is really controlling our expenses, and that's greater than just the salary. That's almost well, no, actually it's not. It's only about 100,000. The salary is about 600,000, I would say. So I kind of read that wrong. So 14.6 versus 15.6 for the year. So that's where we're at, where we're ahead overall. And then we have our below the line income, the tax dollars, 340B income, et cetera. And that was about 134,000 for non-operating revenue this month. It gives us a total net income for the month of $349,000 versus a budget of 178. Year to date, we're at 1.8 versus a budget of 1.6. So a couple $100,000 ahead.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're pleased with that. We have started preliminary work on our budget. And as we told the hospital board, CFO stressed this is a very, very rough, very, very intro budget. Do not hold us to this. We're still working on it. But bottom line is, we've got a budget next year of a total revenue of about $37.8 million. This year is annualizing where we're at year to date. We're at 37.6, so it's not much of an increase year over year, only a couple $100,000. And that's because we're expecting things to be pretty flat. I think I shared with you that last year when the insurance company sent out their payment schedules of what they were going to pay for certain procedures, it didn't go up one penny, and we all know that inflation did go up this year. So there was an interesting article I just read that 2021 was a record year for the insurance companies in profits, and it was a record year for hospitals in losses. Do the math.
Mm-hmm. Funny how that works, right?
So more hospitals lost money and at bigger rates in 2021, and 2022 really doesn't look a lot better. That's why I am really pleased with where we're at. I mean, we actually budgeted this year to kind of have a break even, and we're a little bit ahead, so we're thrilled. And we're going on down the expenses, probably not a big deal, but total expenses of $20 million for the year. Total non-operating income of just $2 million, to give us a total net income projected for next year of $1.9 million. Everything in there, so it all looks pretty good. We're still, like I say, working ahead. One of the big numbers we look at, daily cash on hand. The average in the state of Kansas, or nationally, is about 120 days. The state of Kansas is just over 200. We're running at 253 right now, so we're a little better than most of our comparable hospitals of our size. So, and our expenses are holding pretty level at about $54,000 a day. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. That's up about 7-8% over last year at the same time. And that's right in line with where we are with inflation. So, not to be. We had a really good month in our HR this last month. We had no turnover, which is pretty good. We're always sure those months. But we have hired some new people, a phlebotomist, a couple people in our environmental services, floor tech. They're some of the harder to fill positions, frankly, even though they're not the clinical skills and licensure required. They're still, we still need good quality people, and they're hard to find. So thrilled to have that. And then we've got case management. Actually, one of our former employees is coming back to take over that role, so we're thrilled to have him come back. And then just internally, Tina Wolak actually has moved from kind of helping us out in HR, what she was doing on an interim basis, and she's now kind of permanently working on our public relations and marketing, working with the foundation. So that's one of the targets here, is really get the foundation up and running, you know, we need to raise money for the hospital constantly, and particularly if, you know, our physical plant is pretty old. And if we ever have to consider a new building or consider refurbishing where we're at, we're going to need significant dollars. So that's, we felt that was important. Glad she was willing to do that. And then I guess the last piece of information that I had, oh, it was on that sheet, was just open positions. I told you we still had some. We're looking still for RNs, LPNs, of course, ward clerk in the nursing area. We have a couple of rad tech openings right now for radiology. We need medical assistants in the clinic. We need a lab assistant and a patient service rep, and we're still looking for that HR person. So if we can get that, and we've got it handled for the region, but we don't have it handled right here in Goodland, so we need to get that in place. That's really about what I have to report. So if I have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of those. Or
Question. I guess I have one, and I guess it's just kind of maybe what your initial reaction was and how you think it might affect you guys in the long term. But Colby, you know, just announced their groundbreaking for their
That's
new
whether that question was coming up tonight.
their new facility that they're going to be building over the next 2.5 years.
So actually, I talked with their CEO last week about, you know, everything they're doing, and one of the big things, and that's why I've focused, I just talked about having to raise money and making sure we get our foundation right. They raised significant dollars over a 4 or 5 year period in the community to prepare for this. So they're kind of the same boat that a lot of us are. We built these hospitals with some government funding 40, 50 years ago, and the life of the hospital is about spent. So I'm thrilled for them. We've got to recognize that, you know, yes, there's always competition, but what we're really worried about is taking care of Goodland, taking care of our people here. So I'm happy for them, and I told David, I said, you know, congratulations, that's a great job, but the hard part comes now when they have to pay for $108 million of debt service. So
Yeah.
I will tell you that if we happen to do a new hospital here, it won't be $108 million. Significantly less than that. It will still be probably $60 million. That's just the cost of building anymore. Just for comparison, I did a hospital rebuild in 2015, and our average square foot cost was about $450 per square foot for medical. By the end of that project, it was pushing $550. We're over $600 a square foot to build medical today. So thrilled for them. Scared to death of what we are going to face here, because we're looking probably at the same thing of having to do something pretty significant. We have a roof that needs to be replaced. We've got boilers that are well past their life expectancy, and you know, HVAC that we're already replacing pieces of it. So, and from my last project I did, over about 60% of that project was physical plant. So that's where the expense really is. So that's what's going out on us.
Yeah.
We're thrilled for them, recognizing that we've got to go down that same path here in the not too distant future. Of some sort, you know, either with upgrading our systems or looking to build new or something. So,
Okay, great.
okay.
Thank you, Craig.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have A, 10/17/22 commission meeting minutes, and B, the appropriation ordinances 2022-21, 2022-21A, and 2022-P21. Anybody have any questions or comments, concerns on any of those?
I move that we approve the consent agenda, items A and B.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
I'll second that.
a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Myers,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to ordinances and resolutions. Start with A, ordinance 1762, an ordinance on penalties for violations of the fire code. Kent, you want to speak to that?
We've had a request from Fire Chief James regarding increasing the maximum amounts for violations of the fire code. There's 4 different sections of the code that are involved. The maximum has been $50 or $100, depending on which code section. This would increase the fine amount, the maximum amount, to $1,000. It still will have a range. At the low amount of the range, $5 or $10, will still be available, saying anything in between for the municipal judge on any violation of the fire codes. But, so this has been put together, and City Attorney Kling has approved the ordinance to be presented to you.
So basically just to allow for a little more discretion based on the severity of the,
Yes.
okay. Anybody have any questions?
We know what these sections, I mean, as far as layman terms, what they actually cover. It says section 6, 110, and it says when they were passed, but as far as the Uniform Fire Code, is that commercial buildings? Is it residential? What does it exactly cover that we're raising, or that they're asking for increase?
The Uniform Fire Code covers all buildings in one way or another. And I don't have the code brought up. The other sections include flammables and fireworks, and then I'm forgetting the 4th one. I'll have to look that up real quick. Storage of flammables, fireworks, and then the fire code itself, and there's several different items within that in fire prevention. I don't know if I'm looking at the right one. And stuff with the fire department directly.
That answer that well enough for you?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion that we adopt ordinance 1762, the ordinance on penalties for the fire code.
I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter,
I'll second.
a second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Redlin,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Myers,
yes,
Thompson.
Yes. Let's move on to Resolution 1601, repealing the Water Watch. Kent?
Staff had requested and the commission had approved a resolution establishing an emergency water watch during the summer here because of the drought declaration. The drought declaration is still in effect. However, outdoor watering hopefully has decreased significantly this month. And that it's no longer as much an issue as far as our water supply, since the outdoor watering is no longer a part of our total water production. Staff is in discussion and will probably present to you as far as next year when we go up with this, as far as having the discussion about implementing certain measures to help with our water conservation. Not that we have a concern regarding our total water production, but it just, so the water gets used well. So that we're not watering and wasting water while we're doing it. So using it in the right ways, because we just saw some things that some other communities were doing, and the difference between that and ours was significant. And things we could do to encourage the best use of water that we can for outdoor watering. So, but for this year, this requesting that the Water Watch be repealed at this point.
Any questions?
I move that we approve Resolution 1601.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
Second that motion.
a second by Commissioner Showalter. Any other discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Sorry, I forgot.
Okay, let's move on to formal actions. Starting with A, we have a change order regarding the wastewater digester.
Well, you did. Neil made it back.
Yeah.
That's all right. We have a request for a change order on the abrasive blasting and coating proposal that we had for the wastewater treatment plant. The original contract price for Brand Safeway on that proposal was $111,000, plus $55,550 for the performance bond, for a total of $116,550. This change order would increase the contract $17,915 for additional media and sandblasting that had to be done because of the different thickness of the paint and the materials that were on, and to actually get the materials prepared so that it could be done correctly. That was much more, up to 10 times as much as what was expected. So, and we included in the packet, or at least I hope we did. I thought it was there. As far as pictures from the proposal itself and their different testing that had done,
Yep, that's all in there.
and provided that information. Now, their performance bond was reduced, so the net total amount of the increase is only $13,570 for the project. So it's just a little bit over than 10% more for the additional media and sandblasting and time that it took to complete the project. So, Neil, I don't know if you had anything to add regarding their change order request.
It was just that there was so much more material in some places. It took them a lot longer to remove it. It could get shattered easily, since it was so thick. I think some places were 200 mils thick. That's supposed to be 20 or 25 mils thick.
And I'd actually sent pictures to Josh. I don't know if he's able to get them up or not, as far as pictures before and after on the project itself. I wasn't able to include in the packet the after pictures. But when he gets to that section of the pictures, you can see what the clarifier looks now. And we're almost there. You can still see the rust spots that were there previous. And then now starts the new after they were done. So the next 10 pictures will show their completed project of what they had completed. And it's been quite a difference, obviously. So, and then Neil provided me with some pictures, and we can pass them around there. after the meeting if you like, as far as pictures from when the last time this abrasive coating was completed, and it was in 1997, he finally found. So it's been 25 years. They recommend it every 10 years, so we've done pretty good as far as that goes, but it's been a while. So, any questions or concerns, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
That's good.
Yeah, looks real good.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and move that we approve the change order for the amount of an additional $13,570 to Brand Safeway.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Myers,
yes,
Griffin,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to B. Scroll down here. Have a memorandum of understanding for IT services with Sherman County. Kent?
And I'll probably, after a brief introduction, defer to Josh, because this has been, it was a request from Eric and Josh when they appeared in my office and demanded that an MOU be, no, they just asked that a MOU be prepared. And it's just really just to put in writing what is already occurring between the two departments, so.
So yeah, me and Eric had a tendency to cover each other, kick ideas back and forth, things like that.
Just for clarification, Eric is the IT guy for the county.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So him and I work very well together on a lot of small projects, you know, from the web servers, firewall issues. Him and I have a lot of the same types of systems, so it's a good fit for us to just go back and forth. And, you know, he's having an issue, he asks me about it, and vice versa. So it's just putting it into writing, like Kent said, that we're allowed to do that, because from a cybersecurity standpoint, you don't want outside entities having too much information unless there's some sort of an understanding on paper, so.
And the other part of it is if we would ever be in an emergency situation, this has an understanding, so it has authority and access to each other's systems. If Josh or Eric, either one of them, wouldn't have immediate access for whatever reason, the other person could provide services as needed for either department or either organization.
And so far, I would say, and since I've been here, there might have been 3 or 4 times when one of us had to cover the other. And usually it's something fairly small, fairly quick. We don't dive too deep into the other's day-to-day routines or anything like that. But for instance, one of the times something happened down in dispatch, Eric was out of town, so I ran over and got him taken care of.
Excellent. I certainly like it anytime the city and the county can work together to help each other out.
Yeah, I do like the idea of it. I do have, I guess one question I might have is like where the legalities fall in as far as like having access to sensitive information for you with the county and him with the city, not being employees of the city and the county. You know, what is that kind of a gray area? Is there any kind of worries there? As far as what you might get into while you're assisting?
A lot of that boils down to trust. Me and Eric, again, because of the way that we've set everything up over the last 5-10 years, a lot of our processes are the same. He has his passwords, I have mine. We normally don't share those unless something's coming up. Like when Eric took a trip overseas, he granted me access to his documentation and his passwords. Luckily, all of our logins, things like that, are all auditable, so we can see when somebody logs in, where they logged in from, and things of that nature. Again, without getting too far into the weeds on this, we don't necessarily hey, I need help with this user account. We don't do the things like that. It's more or less kicking the ideas back and forth without actually logging onto each other's systems physically. So,
Okay. Yeah, and I understand that, and I guess I think my question may have been a little different than that. I guess an example might be, say, you're out, he's in helping us. Something happens, whatever that may be, where another legal entity has to come in and do some investigating as to whatever happened.
okay.
Are we any sort of legal liabilities for having him being in our system for whatever they're digging into? I guess.
For the most part, this, I mean, I wouldn't pigeonhole it too much. The idea is you're still delegating out your work, right? We have third-party vendors that have come in and do stuff for us all the time, right?
Mhm.
So same thing as like putting in your telephone system and stuff like that. You don't have a telephone technician, you have to hire somebody to come in and do that. So the same idea of what Josh is talking about is when we have interim people for positions, things like that. What they're really doing is essentially they're having an agreement between the two of the city and the county are acknowledging that there's an agreement between the two of them to cover each other, so in the event that one of them is covering, and again, it's hard to say then something happens, because let's be honest, guys.
Yeah.
IT world, none of us really know what it.
Exactly what.
I will give you all the praise, but we don't. But in reality, we're still responsible for things on our system. However, that doesn't insulate that person that was doing the work from being also on the hook if they intentionally or did something wrong that, again, exposed us to a hack or something like that, right? And so, as far as it goes, we're still responsible. So we also can't take the road of, well, he's not really our guy. He's the county's IT specialist, so it wasn't our fault. He did all that. Still our system, we have to take responsibility for that. But in the fallout, if it was because this person intentionally sold trade secrets to Russia, I don't know. You know, if they did something like that, they're not insulated, but they also don't get our protection either from the city standpoint, right?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve the MOU for the function of information technology backup support among public agencies in Sherman County.
A motion by Commissioner Showalter,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
There's-
Okay, let's move on to C, the design and construction engineering services to seal the joints and cracks in the concrete pavement and paint all markings on runway 12-30, taxiway A, and the apron at the Goodland Municipal Airport. That was a big sentence. Kent?
Yeah, and we'll have Darren with EVH join us, hopefully.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Kind of.
Okay. Kind of?
Not a lot of background noise.
Okay, just a
Yes,
second.
yes, that would sound like you are.
Any better?
No,
Not any better at all. This one.
are you there?
Okay, is that any better? Is that any better?
No, we're just gonna have to deal with it probably.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
So what we've got tonight is the contract for this is the KDOT aviation grant y'all received last year, or this last year. If you remember right, the grant was for a total of $409,000, and so the total project $454, and KDOT's paying 90%. The $30,000 in construction services in this contract we're looking at this evening is actually included in that grant money, so they'll actually be paying $27,000 of the construction services, engineering costs. The $20,000 that's in the design only side of this contract would be 100% on the city. That's the way the KDOT aviation grants are set up. So what we're asking for tonight is you guys to approve our contract for the 20,000 design, up to 30,000 in construction engineering, with also the other thing I want to let you all know about this was that we are planning to get it out to bid here within the next couple of weeks. We've already started a design and got it pretty much wrapped up. We just never had formalized a contract with you guys.
Awesome. Okay, well, that seems pretty simple and straightforward for most of the things we usually get from you.
We tried to make this one easy. There'll be a more difficult one coming back when we try to finish up the other runway project here in a couple months.
Anybody have any questions? So basically, all we're looking for tonight
Is approval of our contract for this project.
up to 30,000?
Yeah, 20,000 for design and up to 30,000 on construction engineering.
Would anybody like to make that motion?
Yeah, hold on.
Well, I will go ahead and move to approve the contract with EVH Engineering for a lump sum payment of 20,000 with an additional payment of up to 30,000. Is that worded well enough?
It was a yes. Yes.
I was gonna say, ask Mary how she wants it.
I second that.
Mary's shaking her head yes, so we'll go with that. I have a second by
Okay.
Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
I'm sorry, I was still typing. You motioned and who seconded?
He
I
motioned, I
motioned.
You
second.
second.
And yep,
Okay, Myers,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Thompson.
yes. All right, thanks for popping in with us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, well, let's move on to discussion items. We have an update on the unfit buildings at 516 Highway 24. Jeff, come on up. Good evening.
I've got some good news. These are with the owner, Mr. Durr, and also Mr. Durr owed quite a bit of back rent on the spaces that, trailers were on, so he worked a deal out with the owner, or with Mr. Potter, and signed both trailers over to him for the owing of the back rent. So Mr. Potter is going to go ahead and get rid of the 417. After going through it, was not salvageable at all. Went back over there, went over the other trailer park, or trailer with him, which was 309.
309.
And he looked at fixing it up, and after he dug into it, after the list of stuff I gave him that he needed to take care of, he called last week and decided he's just going to get rid of that one. The good thing is the trailer park's going to pay for the removal of both of them, so we
Hey,
knocked
good.
that one off our.
Glad that one kind of worked itself out.
Yes, it did. That's all I have. Any questions?
No, sir. Nope.
How's your work on that?
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, any other discussion items? Well, let's move on to reports, starting with our city manager, Kent.
Included in your packet was a third quarter financial statement as well as the month-end fund balances. We're still looking pretty good for the year. There's still staff is watching it closely. So, and it was also included in your packet the letter from KDOT regarding the cost share grant program where Goodland was not selected. as far as one of the projects to include in that. Do have a couple,
That was the Caldwell, correct?
yeah, that was Caldwell Avenue, would have been a mill and overlay, but was not selected by KDOT as a project to cover. The couple scheduling items, as far as tomorrow morning, sent some information to you. There will be a proposal presented to the Sherman County Community Development meeting. It's just an introductory information and proposal, and understand that probably more than a couple commissioners may be able to attend that meeting. So just announcing it here and now that there will be commissioners at the meeting, and there will be no action taken or no formal business as far as the city commission is concerned at that meeting. But there will be two of you in the same room for more than 2 minutes, so we do need to announce it, do need to post it according to the city clerk and city attorney. So we'll let them know. You're also invited on Wednesday. I got an email this afternoon from Senator Moran's office that Senator Moran will be in Goodland on Wednesday, November 9th, to announce a over $1.2 million Title III grant for Northwest Kansas Technical College. So they will be there at 1 p.m. in the Northwest Kansas Technical College boardroom. So you're invited to that as well at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. The fire chief has received information from the Grant Historical Residences, and it seems like it'll at least be, he had given notice, 30-day notice to the Grant Historical Residences to get some things taken care of. And they are taking action, or at least having it companies so that they can take action regarding the concerns that were expressed in the notification from the fire chief. So we won't have, the city won't have to take action, at least at this point. It may still come back to us at some point regarding them. The sales tax ballot issue is part of the ballot. I would encourage people to vote tomorrow. And the sales tax ballot issue is on the ballot. And we did include, staff did include in the monthly utility bills the sales tax question and answer that was presented to the commission a couple meetings ago. We included a copy of that in the utility bills to all the customers in town. So provided some, hopefully some good information to folks for their decision regarding that ballot issue, which is really just to continue the current 1% sales tax on for funding road projects. So, and staff has also started discussion on holiday party, which the mayor reminded me of just shortly ago. But we had started discussions, and we had a good response last year to having the party in January instead of December, and staff is looking at doing that again to hold the party in January. So we will have further details shortly regarding preparations for that. So that's all I have at this point. Any other questions, concerns, comments, or complaints?
Don't think so. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with commissioner reports. We'll start down here on my left. Commissioner Redden.
No. Make sure you go out and vote tomorrow. That's all I gotta say. Just go do your duty as a citizen. Go vote.
Commissioner Howard.
I don't have much, just like to thank all the city employees for all that they do around town. It's, some stuff is seen and some stuff is not seen, what the city employees do. And I appreciate it, and I know a lot of other people appreciate it, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Myers.
Nothing at this point?
Commissioner Showalter.
Thank you to the electrical crew. I know they were out here last week or the week before with that outage on the east side of town, and they worked quickly to get everything back on. I know the college appreciated them getting back out there and get everything on quick. It's not a fun job, I'm sure, when you got to get called out in the middle of the night away from your families. So thank you.
Okay, mayor's report. A couple things. One, I was able to go to the 100th anniversary of the Lutheran Church celebration that they had yesterday and read the proclamation that we did a month ago here for them. They had a good turnout. It was good for them. Also today I was able to go to Colby for lunch, and I just kind of participated in what they call their community concerns meeting. They have that monthly over there, and it's just a light lunch, and a lot of leaders from the community just kind of get together and just kind of discuss things that are happening in each of their little worlds. Just so everybody is kind of aware of what's going on, and if they feel like they have things they can help out with or additional resources. It's something that maybe I think we should be looking into, maybe starting first of the year. Just kind of a heads up, just kind of something I'm thinking about, but it seems to be working very well for them over there for some of the stuff that they have going on, and I think it might be good for us too. One other thing, this is kind of a question for the commission. I've been approached on a couple different times over the past few months by a gentleman who has bought some property over at the Energy Center west of town. His question was about the reasoning as to why the city applies taxes to the property over there, and he is looking, or was hoping anyway, that the city would consider rescinding our ownership over there to just the county. I don't know. I assume it was probably labeled underneath the city when they were doing the Energy Center project over there. I don't know for sure. I haven't dug into that. So I guess my question is, are you guys interested in taking up that discussion to looking into whether or not we should continue to collect city taxes on the property over there at the Energy Center, or should we just leave things the way they are?
I'd certainly like to maybe get some background on
Yeah.
what exactly the arrangement was and agreements were for. So I think it's a discussion we can have. I'd like to have some more background though.
Definitely.
Maybe just get some general information as to why things are the way they are, and then we can go from there if you feel like it. Sound good? Yeah.
I believe it was annexed as an island out there. Just for reference.
Okay. Awesome. And that's all that I have. Anybody have anything else? And I would entertain a motion to adjourn at
So-
5:48 p.m.
Sorry. So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Redlin. A second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Howard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Sorry.